What's up, everybody? Another new show, another day. Welcome to Wicked Crazy Pinfalls. We've got the man himself, the Weekender, Mr. Video Game Twitch Man, Steven Jensen. What's good, Steve? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Just another day. Did a live chat with Jesse earlier, and that was good. And watched a little bit of the Alex Jones, Joe Rogan podcast before this. Still got about another 2 hours left on that. But yeah, it's like a 3-hour show. So yeah, just been doing that today. It's been really chill, man. And I'm going to be starting another video for all things MMA tomorrow. So all good stuff, man. How about you?
I'm in constant pain right now, to be honest.
You're saying before we got recorded.
Yeah, I get to see the specialist tomorrow, which is fine. Work, I've been missing some hours of work. They've been sending me home because of it, because what's use of using a brain? You can use a person's brain, but you gotta run around and use the body too. I mean, just a lot of stuff in life, getting some stuff situated. We've got Halloween coming up, and then this is the first time I'm gonna have Thanksgiving in this house with me and my sister, just us. And then same way with Christmas. So trying to keep as busy as possible with what's going on in the world.
Sure.
But that pay-per-view was pretty good. So what did you think of the overall show itself?
Of WWE Hell in a Cell?
Yeah.
I thought, overall it was a pretty good show. I mean, like are we going to go through like each match here, or basically do like okay. So I'll save most of my thoughts, I guess, per match then. But I would say overall, I mean, there was some really good stuff, and then there was, kind of par for the course with WWE, though. There was also a lot of stuff that you just like really didn't need, in my opinion. But I thought overall it was a good show.
For me, there was a lot of stuff. I was more shocked that they started having Roman and Jay right off the bat, when that is literally like a main event. And also Sasha and Bayley, both of those are back-to-back main events. The rest of the pay-per-view had a thud for the most part, but overall it was pretty decent.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I'm at with the two, because like I thought that Roman and Jey Uso was fantastic. Like I loved everything about all that. And then you had, like you just mentioned, we had Sasha and Bayley, which I thought was really good. Drew and Randy, I thought was really good. I think a big problem with the show, and the reason that it feels like that too, like you were just saying, is because for me, this is just me as somebody who I kind of half pay attention to Raw at this point. I rarely watch SmackDown. I watch all the pay-per-views and I keep up with NXT and that kind of stuff. As far as on the WWE side, of course, I watch all the other wrestling that I watch. But with this show, I was by far the most interested in Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, and they put it on first. And then it was so good that I didn't think anything else on the show was going to be able to live up to that. And that's pretty much what we got. Because like as good as Bayley and Sasha was, like I still don't think it stood a chance against something like Roman and Jay, just like as a for instance,
Yeah, the mic work inside the cell was amazing throughout the entire thing. Like all the stuff was crystal clear. They let you pick and choose what you want to hear. Like, the trash talking between Roman and Jay was awesome. Roman's Jay saying now we're gonna get it. It's so good, and I think this is probably not going to stop. I think it's going to go one more after Survivor Series, just to set up the faction that they're talking about, I guess.
What is the faction they're talking about doing?
They're talking about, some reports are saying that, and this is just me, saying what I've read, that they want to start a faction where the whole line, if Heyman said that they would have to fall in line, and supposedly Jimmy comes back around January from surgery, so that would make sense, and they could set up something where Roman is the head of the family, obviously now, but that image at the end says it all. But the match itself, there was so much trash talking. It was so awesome. I was like into this match the entire time.
Yeah, me too. I mean, and really all they need to do at this point is just change Roman's music, which it sounds like it's coming. So this full transformation into this heel persona that we've been wanting for, at least I know, I'll speak for myself. I know I've wanted this for a long time. And I think that he's not only is Roman Reigns delivering, he's over delivering. Like it's better than I thought it would be, which it's something I don't say that often anymore when it comes to WWE programming, to be honest. Like, I really, really, really like this match. I love the story. I love the fact that Jey Uso got hit with everything. Got hit with the spear, got put in the guillotine, got put to sleep, everything.
He got hit with 3 spears, and 2 of them looked like Roman went over him like a tractor trailer. I was like, damn.
You're right. Yeah, he got some air on some of those too. It really came in hard. And I thought the story was great because Jey never gave up until Jimmy was compromised. Like when it looked like Jimmy was going to start getting the same kind of beating, Jey then said that he quit, which I think adds layers to the story there too. Not to mention the end of the match where the Samoans put the lay on Roman's neck and basically anointed him and acknowledged him as the head of the table, which is what Roman's whole thing is right now, is getting people to acknowledge him. So I think that the story is really, really good. Like, and I mentioned it with Jesse earlier today. I'd like to see Samoa Joe get involved somehow. He's not a part of that family, but I would love Roman to call him out and be like, how are you going to call yourself Samoa Joe? Like, you represent Samoa. Like, acknowledge me as the head of Samoa. You know, like, I want to see him going after everybody. And I think it was like you said, Pat, I think it was a really, really, really good match. It was surprising that it opened the show because as a fan who was mainly interested in this, I would have sat through an entire show to see this match. You know what I mean? Like, I think people probably turned it off after this if they weren't interested in anything else.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that these two guys know each other so well. And I mean, those spears were so impactful and deadly. It was amazing. Like, one of them made me freaking cringe, which is so great. Like I said about the mic work, Jey saying he's going to be giving him a whooping around here. Like, just the volume on the edit mic stuff, basically. You know, Roman with the submission. The ending kind of was like a movie type ending of this where, you know, he was taking all the punches and kicks and all the freaking beating. God, Jey took a huge beating out of this. The spot where they put the staircase, the metal staircase against Jey and the pole, and he does the drive-by. Ooh.
Yeah, that was nice.
That was harsh, but it almost sounded like Roman was trying to say that he was giving Jey his eulogy and at that point he had Jey completely out cold. Jimmy comes out to stop him, and it's just it's like days of our lives for WWE at that point.
Yeah, that's kind of where the WWE benefits from like the no fans thing right now, is they can have those like kind of audible stories in the ring and everyone's going to hear everything. So it adds kind of a different element there too.
Yeah, and even Heyman was begging for Roman to stop, which you never hear him do with Brock. He might have done it once with Dom, but he doesn't do that normally. You know, Joe is basically calling him on commentary a tyrant. That match, top to bottom, was probably up there, going up for top 10 matches of the year. So what do you think of that being a possibility? Because if it is, then it's rightfully deserved at this point.
Like being top 10 match of the year?
Yeah.
Probably. If you're talking every it was probably the best thing I've seen the WWE do all year. Like that was probably the thing it's probably the most interested I've been in anything all year for the WWE, was that right there. I mean, I'd have to really think about top 10 because there's been some matches that have taken, I mean, it sounds strange, but there's been matches that have taken place in high school gyms for like action wrestling out of Georgia, for instance, where like there's matches I'd have on my top 10 list out of stuff like that. There's been a lot of really good stuff, but I think that, I mean, like I said, this is probably the best thing I've seen the WWE do all year. So I was very, very happy with this.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's next. My sister's walking my friend outside, guys. So if you keep hearing the ring go out there, Alexis, keep going off. What made this not like 100% a top 5 pay-per-view was the 3 filler matches. I mean, Hardy and Elias, they finally got the briefcase off Otis, great. But the only good thing about the Otis match was Tucker turning heel, and some god-awful reason they put him back on SmackDown. That doesn't make any sense. And then, you know, you got the Lashley versus Slapjack, which was kind of okay, but you already knew the outcome before it even started.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know how in depth you want to go at this point into Retribution, in my opinion, on just that in general. But
it's open forum. Do whatever you can say, whatever you want.
I mean, this is the worst. Do you like? What's your thing with like cussing on here? Can I say whatever I want, or like,
I don't care.
I just want to. Retribution is the worst fucking group I've ever seen in wrestling history. Like it's the worst thing I've ever like. It's so bad. You had not only did Lashley destroy Slapjack, which we all expected, right? Not only did he do that, he then took out Retribution. He fought them all off himself before the Hurt Business even got to the ring. Like Lashley himself can take every member of that group alone. Like I think it's terrible. And on top of it, Retribution got to choose who wrestled Lashley for the US title, and they chose Slapjack. Like, how do you not choose Donovan Dijak or T-Bar? Like, how do you, I mean, as stupid as it is, like, he's the best wrestler they have in that whole group by far. Well, I shouldn't say Ali's great too, but
Ali's awesome.
But not counting Ali. Right, he is by far the most talented guy that group has. And yeah, man, I'm totally with you on that. Like, that was filler. The Elias Jeff Hardy stuff was filler, in my opinion. The Miz Otis stuff wasn't great either. So I'm with you. Like that's when I say that there were some really good things and some really bad things. Those kind of things I thought were really bad. But I will also say I love the Hurt Business. I do really, really like that faction.
Yeah, they're really good.
So, yeah. So I like seeing them kicking ass. But Retribution was built up so much for so long, and they are total clowns.
And now that they connected the dots with the hacker, it even went further back than that. Yeah. It's sad because, like I was saying, there's no salvation for Retribution. They got to either do one or two things. They have to move them to SmackDown to build them back up, or figure a different way, because you already have a faction with the Hurt Business and Raw. There's literally two of them in the same friggin' program. You have, Undisputed Era and NXT. Why not just move them over? And that's something Ron pointed out about the whole people about Mia saying that she might have had a seizure and stuff like that. I'm epileptic, okay? That's something that I take to it. And she even clarified she wasn't doing anything about epilepsy or anything. It was just, she was just acting what she was told to do.
Yeah, I don't think that they would. I think it would be a really bad idea for the WWE to like make fun of a seizure or something like that, or like use that. Like, I don't know what the actual explanation is going to ultimately be. What I will say though, because I knew she wasn't actually in any danger. If she was really having a seizure, there's no way the camera would have like stayed on her and like nobody would have helped her, and like the paramedics would have immediately come out to help. Yeah. Like, so when I saw this on TV, I was literally laughing out loud, like by myself in my apartment on my couch in my living room, just sitting there laughing out loud alone, just like this. How is this on national television? This is the biggest wrestling company in the world with the most money, with the most resources. How is it possible to be this bad with something? It doesn't make it's bad. It's mind blowing to me.
Joel said, "Oh my God, it's Steven Jensen." Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my God, it's Joe. Hey, Joe, I'm pretty sure. I think he was the guy I was talking with on Twitter not too long ago about Jewish foods. And if it is, what's up, man? You know what I'm talking about. I'm all about like latkes and Hamantaschen and that kind of stuff. So,
what do you think about the Banks Bailey Hell in a Cell? Because we can go into depth on this a little longer than we probably will for the McIntyre one.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever, man. I mean, I thought the match was good. I thought that Sasha winning was the right move. And I'd say that I think that Bailey had a good run with the title, and now the big question is, can Sasha, defend the title? Because that's kind of been the Achilles heel with her as a character. But what did you think? I know you said that you thought the match was good, not quite as good as Roman and Uso, which I would definitely agree with. But
I'm a little homer since she wrestled right around the corner from my house at the Polish Club here in Lowell. But I thought it was a really good way to start the feud, start in the one match where Bailey could say, "You've never won a Hell in the Cell," and now she does. Bailey had it for 380 days, which is remarkable in itself. But a lot of the stuff on this, the spot where Sasha runs up and hits the Meteora with using the table to launch herself, that was amazing. I mean, just a lot of good spots. The Meteora was used like 3 or 4 times in this match, which
I like that you called that out though, because so I've actually said this on my shows and stuff a lot, just whenever I notice it. But so what you just described, her using the table and all that stuff, that was cool, innovative, a little bit different. But the Meteor is one of my least favorite professional wrestling moves. I don't know why as many people use it as they do, because it's literally, the concept of it's really strange to me. Like, you're basically just crotch in the face and falling on somebody and eating it face first yourself if you mess up. Like for instance, like Trey Miguel uses that move as a finisher. Not always, but he's used as finish. And this is a guy who can do like every move imaginable. Like the guy could do a 450 or a shooting star or something I've never even thought of before. And he's doing Meteoras. And I'm like, oh, come on. Like when you get like the double knees to the chest, the way that Andrade does it,
that's deadly, especially in the corner. Exactly.
That's a different thing to me. You're still getting the crotch to the face element, but it's like, it looks like that would really hurt. The Meteor to me is kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't look like it would hurt that much. And it looks like you would hurt yourself trying. Like it looks like it'd be terrible for your knees. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it was overused in this match. I think like you brought up a good point. She did it a bunch of times. I think like the one time was perfect, but more than that, I'm not a big fan.
The spot with the catapult with the kendo sticks was harsh. That was deadly.
Yep.
I thought she like literally broke a tooth or something like that. Couple of good sunset flips were really good. They were literally beating the crap out of each other, which is great. Which spot is your favorite spot of the match, though?
What was I'm trying to remember exactly what the finish was. She had her in the bank statement, but was she using?
She used a chair for it.
Chair, yeah.
A lot of callbacks from the Brooklyn matches too.
Yes, which I think the Brooklyn match was still better, just for what it's worth. I thought that match was like maybe the best women's match I've ever seen ever. But no, I like that. It's kind of funny to say that was my favorite spot of the match. I couldn't remember exactly what it was, but I remember, with I like the bank statement in the chair. I like the bank statement with any object. Like I like her doing with a kendo stick, or how she done it before, which has been like a guardrail on the outside, had someone in it. Like, it looks brutal. So I'm all for that.
It was a little comical too. Bailey trying to get the duct tape and asked the ref to do it. Says, "I'm sweaty. Can you please help me?"
Right.
That was pretty good. I mean, literally they went Bailey to belly back and forth on each other. You don't see that often. You don't see people, R-Truth now, using the AA for the most part. But I mean, this is going to keep going, and I can't wait to see what they do. They're going to probably bring this back after Survivor Series, right? Bring it for TLC.
Yeah, probably. I could see them just going farther with this story, and because I guess everything will be on hold for a second for Survivor Series, because they'll do all like the brand versus brand matches and stuff like that. The one time a year when Raw and SmackDown go head to head, even though like we saw it like last week, but
you see it every week.
Yeah, it's all. So just for what it's worth, my opinions of the brand split differ from Sean's, like, because he talks all about like how he thinks it's a good idea to have the brand split and all that stuff. I hate the brand split. I want to see Roman Reigns on Raw and SmackDown. I want to see the actual stars. I want to see the real stars on Raw and SmackDown. I'm tired of this, like, because we see them anyways. Like, if they're gonna just jump from brand to brand anyways, like, I just don't see the point of the split, especially because it's meant to build new stars. Like, the idea of the brand split is we have so many people under contract, and we're trying to build new stars. Well, since John Cena, the only person that's even sniffing that realm is Roman Reigns. And you can count CM Punk for the time he was there. But like, it isn't working. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's like they can say that that's a good ideal. I mean, and Sean's fucking the man when it comes to wrestling knowledge. Like, he can have his opinions, but I'm just saying, like, when I hear him talk about it, I'm like, yeah, I agree in theory with everything he says about the brand split. But on the other end, I'm always like, but there are not new stars, you know? So
for me, more so, I'm loving the brand split a little bit, and here's why. The idea of opportunity that they originally presented for some of the talent that they weren't using, and this is before NXT came into play, helped a lot of people. I mean, you wouldn't know who Punk was without the brand splits back in the day. You wouldn't know a certain amount of people because Vince doesn't know his hand through his ass. Sorry, but it's the truth.
Well, depending. I mean, I'd known CM Punk for probably 8 to 10 years before he was in the WWE. But yeah, the mainstream WWE audience, sure. But I'm with you too. The original brand split, especially, right? Like when they did it was the SmackDown 6 where you had like Edge, Eddie, Ray, Benoit. Yeah. You had that
Batista too.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I mean, during that time, sure. But since then, once like actually didn't go brand to brand, and they really did spend time on building new stars and giving new people like legitimate opportunities, I'm all for it. It's just the last few times that they've done this, like for instance, the last time they did the draft, I don't know if it was like the draft or if they did like another redraft, or I can't remember the exact time frame, but it's like they went to the wild card thing like pretty quick. I mean, remember, and it was like, wait a second. So like, there's 2 brands, but then like 4 can go to each show every week, and then
there's no logic in that,
right? Like, once again, and same with what I was saying about like Sean's opinion on it, like, and even your opinion as well. Anyone who has his opinion, I totally understand. Like, if they did a real brand split and they actually kept them separated and they actually use it as a vehicle to build new stars, I'm totally fine with that. I just have no reason to believe they're going to do it because they've already done it this many times, like since then, unsuccessfully. You know what I mean?
Joel has a point too. Give the old O2 brand split kind of getting the OG one.
Yeah, I mean, because that did work. Like that created John Cena. That created a lot of people. Like you mentioned Batista. That's where Edge got like a real chance to break out. That's where Eddie Guerrero got to win a world title. There was that was great. That Brock Lesnar even he came in right before the brand split. But since then I just
Have you watched the Taker Untold with Randy?
Not yet, but it looks really good.
There's a spot where Randy's talking about how Taker came down to OBW and literally did a match with Batista.
Yeah, I've heard Jim Cornette talk about that because he was running OVW at the time.
Yeah, and there's actual footage of it and stuff like that. Not the match, but bits and pieces and stuff. They go into depth on that. I mean, now he's doing the same thing, but that's a must watch. And that and the Bailey Chronicle is really good too. Do you believe in the Chronicle curse?
What is what is that? Like, do they do an episode and then like someone wants
they lose the title or something like that? Yeah.
Kind of like the Madden curse almost. No, I actually hadn't even heard about that, but I mean, hopefully not. Who was the last one that they did one on?
They did Bailey's just recently.
Just recently?
Yeah.
Justice just lost the title. Yeah. That's funny. Well, here's the thing. When you know that one of those is coming out, it means that something significant should be happening with that person. Unless it's Ricochet. They did one of those on him not that long ago, and he's still just like totally jobbing out. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep my eye on that now, though. From now on, man. Like, if I know that there's a Chronicle coming out, I'm gonna see if they lose the title or get injured right after.
I know. I want to say hey to Caleb. First, Sean told him to come over here, referred him on the show. So welcome to the show, by the way. So I wrote this in a note, and I put this in a super chat previously, but I figured I'd ask you since you're on. Do you think? And this is when I wrote this was on Sunday, so just bear with it. If McIntyre did win, do you think AJ was the next feud? And since Orton did win, do you think Edge is the end game?
Well, the first question, I don't really know, because I think the plan for a while has been to put the belt onto Orton. But I mean, I could see AJ being in the world title mix at any time. Like he's still the most versatile wrestler that they have on Raw or SmackDown. The only reason I don't include, I say in the whole company, is because there are people like Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly who are a little bit younger, who like are going to be those guys going forward, I think. But like AJ Styles could, this is a long way of saying if they were going to do AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre for the belt, I'm totally down for it. AJ can always be in that position as far as I'm concerned. To answer your other question, which I appreciate because you did super chat that earlier today, and I didn't give you an answer at the time of the super chat. I do think 100% that this is leading towards Edge versus Orton for the title. I think that's exactly where it's headed.
Yeah, and that would be interesting because if Edge won, there's more storylines he could do. Also, there was news out of Talking Smack that this could be Bryan's last run as a full-time competitor. He said that. So, I mean, Edge versus, Bryan, maybe you could have something like that since, like you pointed out, there's brand supremacy does not mean anything. So it's going to be interesting, but the match started on the outside when Orton just snuck out before it started. But they did a callback on the whole Shawn Michaels thing, like they do on every cell, hang off the cell, and the RKO got the win and stuff. It was an okay match. It wasn't like a jaw dropping, like Roman emotionally, because you got emotionally invested in Roman's, yes. And then Sasha winning, you got kind of like that relief that the rules got reversed because Bayley won the title off of Sasha for the NXT, and now it's the polar opposite way. It's interesting to see how life goes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this should have opened the show. Like this should have been what opened it. Because then we wouldn't have had the Reigns Uso stuff to compare it to beforehand, and Reigns Uso still would have been just as good at the end of the show than it was at the beginning of the show. So I think once again, I know I've said that a few times now, but I think once again as a fan, like I loved opening the show with that because it was like, hell yeah, this is what I'm into the most. I'm psyched for the show. Let's do this. But I think it would have been smarter to put it at the end. I do think that the Orton McIntyre match was pretty good though. It was kind of funny to see that. I mean, I'm happy that they're looking out for the safety of the performers, but you could clearly see where like the footrests were on the outside of the.
I know, right? You could literally see the gaps in the chain. I'm like pointing it out with my sister. She's like, "Oh no, they just have it there for no. There's a reason for it."
Yeah, exactly. So it was one of those things where once they started climbing down that part of the cage, I was like, oh, well, that's where someone's falling from because you could see literally 4 spots for 4 feet right there. But once again, if this is for the safety of the performers, like I'm not gonna like laugh at it. You know what I mean? Like if this, it's better than a scenario where someone just falls off the cage and misses their mark and gets really hurt for real. Like we don't want that either. So I'll be fair about that. But what would the finish right was basically. I mean, I know it was an RKO, but it was like after all that, like
it's after he fell and McIntyre crawled all the way back in.
He went for a Claymore, right? But he caught him. Yeah.
It now that with Raw the way it ended, God, why do they have to put the Fiend in that every time? But Bray and Alexa, oh my God, those two are perfect matches for each other. The whole thing in the Firefly Funhouse where she had the contacts on, and if you read, one said play and one said pain on her hands. I'm like, this is gonna get good. We've got the Joker and the Harley Quinn full tilt.
Yeah, I do think that it's interesting. I think they are a good match. I just, once again, I'm always wary like the WWE booking. I'm like, I also remember a time in probably the early 2000s when Kane was like an indestructible monster in the late 90s. And then towards the early 2000s, the next thing we know, he's in a romance with Tori. And then we're hearing about the X-Pac Tori. Hey, I'm wearing an X-Pac jersey right now. I didn't even think about that.
I'm wearing a hat.
Well, I threw it on, by the way, because it came on your show, the throwback. So, I had to throw a jersey on. But yeah, like it was like the X-Pac Tori Christmas story. And now all of a sudden Kane became less and less badass because now he was like feeling emotions and he was in love. And it was like, there's a lot of really cool stuff they can do with Bray and Alexa. Like, do not get me wrong. I think that there's a lot of potential there for really, really good stuff. We just have to also keep in mind who is calling the shots and making the decisions in these storylines. So like, look at what they've done to the Fiend up to this point, right? Like he went from I can't like unfuck upable to losing to Goldberg in like 20 seconds. And it was like, oh no, what's going on here? And then like, and he's like still kind of recovering from that, but he's there. But what you said though, like this could be really, really, really good. And Alexa Bliss is the right person to do this. It's just a matter of,
in my opinion, lined up for Asuka next too. It makes more logical sense because with her developing a really good character like that, where she could turn on like the whole conversation where she's sweet and innocent doing, Alexa Bliss's TV show, whatever it is, a moment of bliss. There we go. And all of a sudden she's sitting on top. I got to be careful on that. And then literally she's laughing about all the carnage and stuff and the Fiend pops up. I mean, if that's any Harley Quinn psychological stuff there, I'm all for it. And if she does that to Asuka, imagine the possibilities.
Yeah, and that could be really good because, like, I think Asuka is probably the best overall female performer that WWE has right now. Like that's like currently on the show because you can throw like Becky out there and Charlotte and stuff. I understand, and Sasha too. Like there's others, but I think that for my money, Asuka in the ring is the most fun to watch, and I think Alexa Bliss is really good and actually a little underrated for how good she is in the ring. And she's a very good character. And I think that, she was dressed up kind of like Chucky, like from Child's Play last night, which I thought added kind of an element too, where it's like, it's creepy, which is what they're going for,
I mean, for me, she's probably in the pandemic era, like number 4 on the women's side for who are doing really good work. You mean you got it with Charlotte out and stuff. I get it. So
yeah, that's kind of the thing. Cause I mean, they have a lot of good, I talked with Sean about this a little bit too, with kind of comparing women's divisions. Cause I think like top to bottom, if you look at it as one brand, I think Impact Wrestling actually has the best. If you're looking at it as one brand, like if you kind of don't count Raw, SmackDown, and NXT is one thing, and NXT UK. But if you look at it as a company, WWE has a lot of super talented women, like collectively, because we're not even talking about like why can't I think of her name? The Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley is like really, really good, and she's super. She could be the top person for the next 10 years if she's healthy. Like they have Io Shirai is like super talented. So they have even some women in NXT that, or Candice LeRae, I think is really good also. I mean, they got some really, really good women in that company for sure.
My Alexa's still going. Alexa, stop. It started playing a movie.
Because you brought up the name Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
That's great.
And we have 3 of them.
Oh, nice.
Here. Yeah, I know. I figured it out. My sister's upstairs. But I want to see what this goes with. And if they give her Asuka, that makes more sense. And it'll give Asuka a program that actually has some meaning to it. And if they want to take eventually the belt off Asuka so Asuka can take a break because she's been holding it for just almost since Mania. So, I mean, a little bit before that, actually, right at Money in the Bank right the next night. Asuka's been on the go, so eventually those wheels are going to end up wobbling a little bit. Give it to Alexa and hopefully go from there, But it's going to be fun to see what they do.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'd be fine with Alexa holding that belt also. Like, I think she's great.
Anakin is always funny with certain things like this. He says, that's why I sent my Alexa to respond to a computer like Star Wars. I mean, Star Trek.
Okay. Nice.
Also, he said about the whole Freddy Krueger aspect, that does make sense. How she was dressed up as that. So, the Mad Hatter and Tea Party thing.
Gotcha. I was thinking Child's Play, but yeah, I guess it was Freddy Krueger. Okay, I got you. I'm really not big on like horror movies and stuff. Like that's not my realm at all. So,
being up here, you kind of get the gist of it for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, if they do this right and they take the belt off of Asuka, let's say a TLC or something like that, it would make perfect sense to give Asuka a break before they revamp up for Mania. but we'll see. It all depends. So Raw was kind of okay.
Oh no, I thought it was one of the worst episodes of Raw I've ever seen. I thought it was awful.
That's why I said kind of. I didn't want to. I did a 30-minute rant on that really horrible Raw a few weeks back, so that's why I'm giving it a little kind of. Okay. But I'm excited to see about tomorrow for NXT. There's going to be some great matches for tomorrow. Are you doing everything for the Weekender on these matches, or on your own show?
Nope. All here. I mean, me and Jesse might do some predictions or something if we do another podcast for the end of the week. But let's talk about it, man. This is gonna be a good show.
Yeah, the Gargano and Priest, I get for the North American title. Spin the wheel, make a deal. God, they're bringing back that old freaking adage. Remember how they used to do Vegas roulette or Russian roulette with the wheel, and all of a sudden that would be the match?
Raw roulette, yeah. Eric Bischoff brought it on when he was the GM. Yep.
I mean, that who do you got?
Probably go with Damian Priest. Really, the only thing that Gargano really has to kind of worry about is getting lost in the mix more than this, because so Gargano, I think, is really, really good in the ring. I don't think anyone would really debate that. He's really, really good in the ring. As a character, as a babyface, I thought he was really dweeby, and I thought he looked really stupid a lot of the time, because he kind of beat himself against Ciampa and stuff. And since turning heel, I've liked him a lot more, because he's still kind of dweeby, but it's in a really unlikable way, and it's meant to be. And I think it works really well for him. And I think his pairing with his wife, Candice, I think is really good for both of them. But the problems that they're going to be having is that I think Damian Priest is going to be way more valuable long-term to the company, because he has the size, the look. He can do everything in the ring that anyone else can, whether it's high-flying power moves, whatever. And I think that whenever he eventually goes to Raw or SmackDown, Vince will actually do something with him because of those reasons. I think Gargano on the main roster is dead meat. They're going to do, he'll be on 205 Live or something. They won't do anything with him. So he has to make the best of his NXT run, and hopefully never leaves NXT. But he's kind of in this position where he's already been the champion. He's already been the North American champion. He's already been the tag team champion. And NXT is going to constantly have influxes of talent being brought in. So I think this is kind of his role right now, is to make the next guys look better. And I'm going to go with Damian to retain.
I think Damian's going to do it, but I think it's time for Johnny to move up and at least go to SmackDown. Yeah. Just imagine the matches you could have with Bryan and him and all that stuff. They have to do something other than just keep having him in these matches where there's no way of him winning it. I mean, you obviously know that he's stuck there, and Ciampa's already adamant he doesn't want to go up there. So maybe it's time to put Johnny full time on there and bring Candice along.
I mean, I'm not necessarily against it. I'm just saying, I just don't have any faith in him. I mean, not in him, but in the booking of him, because I think that on SmackDown, I think he could have some really great matches with Daniel Bryan, like you said. I think, Kevin Owens there, which would be great. If he wound up on Raw, him and Drew Gulak would be really, really good. There's a lot of good matchups for him. And
McIntyre, God, that would be great.
That would be good. And they have some history from being in Evolve at the same time years back and stuff like that. So there could be really good stuff with Gargano on the main roster. And in Ciampa, I totally understand that too, because I think that he's in the same boat as Gargano, except with just a little bit more of an interesting character, because he's still not a big guy and he's very injury prone as far as a lot of, and I don't ever want people getting hurt, obviously, but Ciampa is somebody that has been given a lot of he's earned a lot of big opportunities, and he's gotten those opportunities, but he's gotten hurt a lot of the time when he's had the ball. And I know that's something that Vince sours on very quickly. Just look at Finn Balor. You know what I mean? And it's kind of happening with Balor again, as crazy as that is with him being the current NXT champion.
It's funny how there's a line everybody should know, that and if you don't listen to history, you're doomed to repeat it. And look at Finn. He won the Universal title, relinquished it. But this time he broke his jaw, and they're giving him enough time to heal. And, that's perfectly fine. They want to have him at 100%. but Johnny's got to move up sometime, and it's probably the right time to do it now before you get into, the whole TLC era match, and then, you go into WrestleMania season, and it would make more sense.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. If they're going to do it, now's the time. Now's as good a time as ever. And for his sake, I hope that it works out for him. But it's also the same company where, what's Daniel Bryan doing currently? He's like a tag team with Kevin Owens or something, right? They're not really my point being, Daniel Bryan's one of the best in-ring wrestlers of all time, one of the most over wrestlers that WWE has ever had. And he's lost in the mix. Imagine what's going to happen to Gargano. You know what I'm saying?
And also think about it. He was trained by Shawn Michaels too. So,
yeah,
you got one great wrestler of his generation training another one that's this generation's great. But you're right. You're 100% right on that.
Yeah. So, those are my concerns. But once again, I can't stress it enough. Gargano has the talent. It's just, the company recognized the best way of using his talent. And in NXT, I think that's his best opportunity, because Shawn Michaels loves him, and apparently he's producing his matches, and they've gotten really close. And he's like a made man in NXT forever, Johnny Gargano. But I'm with you though. Still, there's not anything left for him to do in NXT really, other than prop up the next generation of people coming through there. But yeah, we'll see where it winds up. He has the talent, but it's all going to come down to the booking, like everything else. Because I can say the same thing about Matt Riddle, right? It's how do you? I know there's this stuff outside the ring going on with him, but if we're talking strictly as a wrestler on the show, that stuff aside, how is he 0-2 on Raw and just another guy on the show, when it's this is the only person on your roster who might actually be able to take Brock Lesnar in an actual fight.
Yeah, and everybody wants that match, especially if Goldberg comes back for the Rumble. Might as well just give the Riddle the match with Goldberg, because he's going to need something.
Right. And also, to kind of prove my point, if let's say not Riddle, right? Let's take Riddle out of the equation, and we'll assume it has to do with the outside the ring stuff and all that for what's going on with him. Look at Keith Lee. If Keith Lee's in this position, imagine Johnny Gargano on the. You know what I'm saying? Keith Lee checks every box you want in a wrestler. He's big. He's intimidating. He's one of the most powerful guys in the company. He can do backflips. And he's getting lost in the mix.
Yeah, and I'm glad that he's on the Survivor Series team. That will make it a lot interesting.
Yeah.
Io's gonna win. Spin the wheel, make a deal again. God, these freaking Io is gonna win if, we've already said, Candice needs to go up. Haunted House Terror match. These names gotta really stop, because now I'm thinking about the House of Horrors match and all these stuff. Grimes and Loomis. Loomis is phenomenal, and I don't care how everybody's all hyped on Grimes. Just every time I watch Loomis wrestle or do something, I'm just really curious where it's going to go next, because it's so much fun to watch.
So you like his character a lot, this kind of creepy Dexter type of character.
I like it kind of like the guy you've known in middle school and all the way into high school, who's the really quiet guy, but then he'll make these little funny things just to make you laugh when you're having a bad day. It's one of those things you'll see, a drawing, a Pictionary drawing, and it's just a car with you and him, and all of a sudden something dragging around for Halloween or something like that. Those things. Yeah.
Okay. I see what you're saying. So I'm not huge on, let me say this. Sam Shaw, Dexter Loomis, he's kind of been doing pretty much the same thing for what seems like forever, because he was doing a similar type of character in TNA years ago. And he was kind of doing the same thing in the National Wrestling Alliance before he signed with NXT. And the problem with what he's doing is it never really gets over. There's no crowd there to really be able to gauge one way or another at the moment. But no matter how good he is, the character never really seems to work. But what I will say is, he actually is really good at what he does. He's good at playing the character, and he's solid in the ring. He's not he has bad matches. And the other thing with his opponent, Cameron Grimes, I know you're saying people are hyped about him. I'm definitely one of those people. I think Cameron Grimes is really damn good, and he has been since the Trevor Lee days, and
Where's Warren when you need him about Grimes' hat?
Right. Yeah. I mean, no, but that's what adds to the character is like, cause he's as a character on the screen, he's not self-aware, but by doing it, the person behind the character is self-aware about it. Cause he's wearing the hat because it's making people talk about the stupid hat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but what I love about him so much, man, is like, I remember an interview that he did years ago. It was from the Best Friends series that I think it was either High Spots or RF Video. I think it was High Spots. And it was Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, and they were interviewing Cameron Grimes and Andrew Everett. And when you're listening to these interviews, like Cameron Grimes is just like this simple guy from the woods, from Cameron, North Carolina. Like the biggest thing that's ever happened to his city is Jeff Hardy. You know what I mean? Like, and this is his life. Like this is his, and he's just this good old country boy, And the way that he talks, he sounds different, if you can do something in wrestling that's different, I'm always going to pay attention.
Look at the Fiend when it first started.
Yeah, exactly. Like there was a lot of interest there because it was so different. And what Cameron does is different. He looks different. He sounds different. And he's really damn good in the ring. Like I know he does that double foot stomp as his finisher, which looks pretty brutal. But like he's also the same kind of guy who, like, if he had to, he could do a double backflip off the top. You know what I mean? Like he's so good.
I finally caught some of the Impact stuff from Facebook because they're showing old Impact footage here and there. Have you seen that recently?
Well, I've been watching it since day one, TNA. So what's the?
A lot of this stuff they're republishing certain things, certain parts of matches and stuff, and the Facebook video section of everything, and I'll be flipping through and I'll just pay attention to all that stuff. A lot of the Impact stuff they're doing it on Facebook also. So where if you can't find normal stuff, they put like certain segments on there where you could watch it and everything. So that's where I'm trying to keep up with Impact for the most part.
Hell yeah. And Twitch, man, they have a free Twitch channel. I mean, they have a 24-hour a day, 7 day a week. It's just broadcasting classic Impact Wrestling matches. And that's also, you can watch Impact Wrestling. I'm obviously not paid by Impact Wrestling, but I talk about them every weekend. Their Twitch channel, that's how I watch Impact on Tuesdays is the Twitch. I mean, obviously I'm not doing it right now because we're doing the show, but Twitch is where you can just watch it without having access TV. So, but like, yeah, for those people who might not know, like, Cameron Grimes, when he was Trevor Lee, had a really good run in Impact Wrestling, and he was actually a tag team champion with Brian Myers, who just recently came back to the company. People know as Kurt Hawkins. Fun fact, So it's like, yeah, man. I mean, so here's the thing. What scares me about this is Haunted House of Terror match, like you said. I don't know what this is. I don't know how goofy this is going to be. But at least it's Triple H and William Regal and Sean and NXT, not Vince and his crew doing this. So maybe this will wind up being good. And at least there's two good talents in this match, whatever this match is. Maybe they can pull it off.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Joel's basically swapping between here and Impact and just leaving Impact audio off. I would do the same thing, but I don't want to move right now because I'm back. But I'm just hoping it's something not where we end up looking at it like, the Bray Randy match where there was all this hype and build up and all of a sudden just nothing. It just was horrible.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I didn't mention it at the beginning, but I love that they're bringing back the branding of Halloween Havoc. As somebody who, I'm 32 years old. I grew up I grew up in Atlanta. So I mean, I grew up in WCW country. Like WCW was my life. I watched the WWF as well, but like I was a diehard WCW fan, especially throughout the NWO days and all that stuff. And Halloween Havoc was my favorite pay-per-view every year. Like I will never forget Macho Man Randy Savage and all of his Slim Jim endorsements. Like during the shows.
That was awesome back then.
Yeah, right. It was so cool. Like Snickers presents Halloween Havoc and like all that. And it just and even in like the N64 games, like when they had the set for Halloween Havoc and Revenge and stuff like that. Like I almost always use that as like it's like, so it is really, really cool to see because for whatever reason, WWE is like against branding these things themselves, but Triple H between this and War Games and Clash of Champions or Clash of Champions, I think is what they're doing on it.
Yeah, they did see, or what the Brits would say, COC, and I'm not going to actually say it. Yeah.
So yeah, I do applaud the NXT. The ironic thing is that the person who created all of these things is the father of the guy running the competing show on Wednesdays.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just too funny about how that all works out.
Wild, man.
Rhea versus Raquel. Who do you got?
Man, I'm gonna take Rhea because I know that they have I know they're very high on her, as they should be, but I like Raquel as well. Like I really do. She has a lot of potential, and she does basically a one-arm power bomb, which is really cool looking. Like for me, like I'd rather see Raquel Gonzalez go out there and do what she does than like Nia Jax, for instance. Just like as a for instance, like I think Raquel provides a lot more benefit in like comparison.
I think what's going to happen is this is going to be a showcase for Raquel, just to show what she can do on a full-time basis, because you don't see her wrestle often. If she's by herself, that would make a bigger impression. But I really do think that they're going to have Raquel and Dakota go for the tag titles at some point. That would make more sense once Dakota's done trying to go after the NXT women's title. But I'm with you. I got Rhea. The man of the hour, the man that everybody talks about ever since Adam Cole slapped him and all that stuff. McAfee is with, and I'm so happy for this, Oni and Birch being the tag champions. That is so great, especially since I'm so happy because Oni's actually a South Boston boy, so it makes more sense. What do you think this is going to lead to with McAfee, with them? More stuff against Undisputed Era, or do you think he's just going to come back and forth between doing a show and then managing them or something like that?
It's a good question. I think McAfee's definitely getting ready for an in-ring return. I watch his show pretty often on YouTube from 12 to 3. I think he's a fan. He's my, I'll go on record saying he's my favorite like sports show or analyst or whatever you want to call it at the moment. Like as far like I don't watch ESPN anymore. I just watch Pat McAfee's show. Like I really enjoy him as an entertainer and though his cadence and everything that he does. And I was blown away with how good he was in that match with Adam Cole. Like I thought that he just did such a great job, and I love seeing him back. And it all makes sense too, because it's him attacking Undisputed Era, who he has beef with, and Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch need the mouthpiece. Like these two guys are incredible wrestlers. You were just mentioning, the Boston days. I remember him as Biff Busick back on the indie scene. Like this guy and Danny Burch, I saw in the indies as well, and like Glory Pro and stuff. And these are guys who have always been good in the ring, but just lacked that little extra something to put them over the top. And Pat McAfee being their mouthpiece, it could be something that puts them over the top. I think that they've even said that McAfee, I think they've already said it in storyline that McAfee had hired Ridge Holland to take on Adam Cole, but then Ridge Holland wound up getting hurt. So I think initially the idea was War Games. It was going to be McAfee, Holland, Burch, and Lorcan versus Undisputed Era.
Yeah.
And I think they could still do that. And I don't know how long Holland's out for, but I think that's kind of the overall idea, is getting those two teams against each other.
It's going to be a really fun time watching NXT, and it's going to be ridiculous about that. So we've been talking wrestling for a bit, but there's other things you do besides the Weekender, like your Twitch channel. I implore everybody, watch this dude play Fall Guy. It is awesome. Like you get more times just talking about it. And I know Joel jumps in sometimes. How far have you gotten on the rankings on that so far?
Dude, it's been a minute since I've really grinded it, to be honest. I've been pretty busy, but I did a stream the other day with Kayla, who as well as the Sheenom.
Yeah.
She was on her channel, I was on my channel. We played Fall Guys together, and that was a lot of fun, especially because I know Kayla personally. We were friends in Nashville when I lived there, and So it was really good to be able to talk to her, and her husband Aaron's a fucking great guy. So like, it's just good people. Good to be able to play some games with her, and so I haven't really ranked up too much in the game, but like, dude, it's a fun game, especially because it's a game that's like made for kids, or it was made for everybody, but like it's a game that like kids could play, but like it's challenging for a grown man as well. You know what I mean? And I appreciate you coming in and hanging out during those streams, man. It's been a good time.
And on top of that, it's more fun where it's like you're so into it, and that's a lot of people who are passionate about certain things. I mean, for me, I've been busy. I'm actually thinking about picking up the Xbox console when it comes out eventually, but I mean, health-wise, that has to come first. But it's always going to be fun seeing people do different things. You know, if they asked you to do something for like Fightful Gaming, would you ever consider doing that?
Yeah. It would it kind of depend on the game a little bit, but I have floated that to Sean before. Just like when I found out that they were doing the channel, I was like, hey, I know how to use Twitch, just so you know. So it's just one of those things where like, and I don't mean that to be like snarky, by the way. Like, it's not like I expect them to like throw me on the channel. I just let them know, like, because sometimes the barrier to doing certain things is like, it's like you want to do a YouTube show, but maybe you don't know how to use StreamYard, or you don't know how to use OBS, or whatever the case is. I'm just giving them a heads up of like, hey, I totally know how to use Twitch already. So like, if you need somebody,
it's good to have people with different set of skills you can actually connect the dots with. Yeah, it makes more sense. So what are you looking forward to this week? Are you looking forward more to AEW, NXT, Impact? I'm picking your brain. You run the Weekender, so I might as well, while you're here, pick your brain on all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the show I look forward to the most every week, and the company that I support the most is AEW. I mean, I try to stay as unbiased as possible when I give like reviews of things, and that kind of stuff. But just like kicking it here with you, I mean, I could be honest about it. Like, AEW is easily my favorite professional wrestling company. As far as like mainstream wrestling goes, I have really close ties and a lot of emotional attachment to certain independent promotions as well. But that's kind of a different thing. Like, if I was to sit here and tell you about Southern Underground Pro in Nashville, Tennessee, for, no one else would really know what I was talking about, unless you're like super plugged into that scene. But as far as like what I'm looking forward to on a weekly basis, AEW Dynamite, I've mentioned this a lot, but since it's kind of, new viewers and new audience and stuff, like, I went to high school with Cody Rhodes. We were on the same wrestling team in high school. He's 2 years older than I am. So I got to literally watch that guy win 2 high school state championships in wrestling, and then followed his career through OVW, through the WWE, out to the Indies and New Japan, now creating AEW and all this. So like, not only am I a fan of what they're doing as a company, I'm pulling for him as a human being because I know he's a good guy firsthand. So like, I really, 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 I enjoy that a lot. And also, I want to give a shout out to Ring of Honor, because their pure title tournament has been really, really good. And they're highlighting some talents that were really big on the indie scene that are now getting some newer eyes on them. People like Tracy Williams, who has been with Ring of Honor for a while, but is now getting really heavily spotlighted. Guys like Jonathan Grisham, same kind of boat. Even guys like Fred Yehai, who are fantastic on the indies, but have never really had a mainstream presence. They had a chance in this tournament and stuff like that. So I think I'd say AEW has been consistently over the last year my most favorite. But but I also like currently I'm really liking what Ring of Honor is doing as well.
So this is a question I've been wanting to ask, and I figured I asked this on the roundtable, but I figured I'd ask it on here because I don't know if you heard it. Do you consider Impact's women's division A1 and NXT A2 out of all the companies? Now, when I mean NXT, I mean you're going to separate Raw, SmackDown, and NXT as their own separate entities because they're considered quote unquote different brands. So if you're just going through brands across wrestling, do you think Impact's women's division is A1 and NXT is literally nipping at the heels since they added Toni Storm and Amber Moon?
I'd still probably put, if we're separating it like you're saying, if NXT is its own thing, we're not counting Raw and SmackDown and all that stuff, I'd still put Impact's women's division probably on top. The main reason being that I think Jordan Grace is really valuable. Because she can wrestle men and women, and it looks believable. And that's not an easy thing to pull off. Like we see a lot of intergender wrestling in today's day and age, and sometimes, I'm just gonna be dead honest, sometimes it looks really goofy to me. Like it just doesn't look right. When Jordan Grace does it, it's great. Like she kills it every. I've watched her wrestle Brian Cage before, and it was good. Where you're like, I mean, Brian Cage is a humongous man, and Jordan Grace had a damn good match with him. You know, like Jordan Grace, Chris Statlander is another one that people don't realize yet because most people only know her from AEW. But her working beyond wrestling on the indies before her signing, she was wrestling mainly intergender matches, and she's really good at it. Tessa Blanchard, obviously, she was the heavyweight champion of the entire company for Impact Wrestling before she left. So there are women who can pull it off, but it's not all of them. I'm just going to be completely honest about that. And,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you know, even like Kylie Ray, like hopefully she's okay right now, but like she can do pretty darn good intergender wrestling. Her and Josh Alexander had a great match at the Collective over the weekend a couple weekends ago. But that all being said, I think Jordan Grace is kind of what puts Impact just a little bit higher than NXT, because I'd take Jordan over any of those other women. Like I'd take her over any woman in NXT or any other woman in Impact Wrestling personally. And then they also have Gianna Perrazzo, who's really good. Sue Young, who's really good. And I say really good. They're great. They're on that level. So my answer would actually be Impact Wrestling, but I wouldn't argue NXT either, because I think Candice, Io, Rhea, they have really good women there too.
I think that NXT's nipping at the heels of Impact right now, just with Tony, with the quality just in the women's division itself, with Io leading the charge. Rhea, we don't know where they're going to do with Candice and stuff, but you have Dakota, Raquel, Shotzi, which I'd rather have her wrestle instead of host. That's just me. And then you have Ember back there to set everything up. I mean, both of them are stacked. I'm agreed with you. Jordan's amazing in Impact. I think they missed the ball with the opportunity with Deanna. Kylie is one amazing talent, and I would love to see her go against somebody like Io at some point down the line. That would be amazing. There's so much going on. So other than that, just tell them where they can find you, and I'm very appreciative for you being on, Steve.
Oh, thanks for having me on. And I'll give everyone a tip real quick for those of you who might not be paying as much attention to the indies at the moment, especially because we talked a bit about women's wrestling on this show. Keep your eyes out for Alley Cat. She's probably the next one coming to somewhere big. She's been killing it on the indies for a long time, and she does intergender wrestling, and she's very good at it. And of course, she's good against women as well. But she's willing to go to that next level. Like she'll do death matches and stuff. Like she does not care.
Wow.
Really, really talented. And down the line, I think the biggest star in women's wrestling history will be Billie Starkz. She's currently 15 years old, and she wrestles I can't say full time because she goes to school, but her dad is this guy, Robert Bellamy, who's known as Mouse. And Mouse is, in my opinion, the best wrestling photographer in the world. This dude goes all over the U.S. and gets just the best shots of independent wrestling of anybody out there. And his daughter is Billie. So it's one of those things where normally I'd hear 15-year-old girl wrestling grown men. I don't know about this, but her dad's literally against the ring as it's happening. It's very closely monitored, and she's really, really good. At 15.
That sounds like something like a famous Twitch former WWE still under contract, Saraya Bevis, aka Paige.
Yeah, right. So that's I give her a shout out. Keep your eyes out for her, Billie Starkz. She has blue hair. She basically inherited when Chris Statlander moved from the indies to AEW, she kind of handed down kind of the alien kind of gimmick to her. And so she's half teenager, half alien. The kids love her. She's been having really good matches against men and women, and she's 15. When she's 20, she's gonna be like the AEW or WWE,
yeah.
or she'll be the champion for the next decade when she's of age to like sign with a company. So I'll throw that out there, and thank you again, man, for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. I'll do this anytime you want. You have been.
You never know. He might pop in at a round table, just say, "Hey," like everybody did the last time.
Yeah, man, just give me the word. Like the only reason I wouldn't do something ever is I video edit full time, and sometimes I'm on a time crunch. And if I'm on a time crunch, I just can't do other stuff. But if I'm free and you hit me up whenever you want to, man, like you have supported on mine and Jesse's show, you've supported on my Twitch channel. I mean, stuff that you didn't have to do. And this is a very small way of me trying to be able to repay you a little bit for all of your help. So I appreciate you having me on. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @FightTalk_. I just keep all my stuff there. But that's all I'll plug.
Scrolling right underneath there. Go hit it up. Check out his Twitch stuff too. It's awesome. Him playing Fall Guys is always fun. I was always gonna joke with you. One of these days you should do a drinking game and just see how that goes with how many times you win and then all of a sudden you fall and then someone takes a shot or something.
Yeah, dude, I'm down. I mean, I drink plenty of alcohol. I could do it.
Yeah, not me. I'm getting too old. I'm gonna be 40.
Oh man, yeah, I'm still. I mean, I'm feeling it too, man. 32, but yeah, I haven't hit the big 40 just yet. And Rob, because I see you in there, I will. I'll answer that real quick for you. I think Ethan Page is incredibly talented. The shape that he's gotten himself in is insane. And I know his contract comes up with Impact Wrestling sometime in like the next month or two. And I know for a fact that there is interest from other companies. So I think it'd be cool for him to stay in Impact because I think him and Josh Alexander they're actually my favorite tag team at the moment, the North. But I think there's bigger things in the future for Ethan. I think he's going to be a massive star in either AEW or WWE. But
one of the things is that you could catch him on the Weekender also for Fightful. The other thing also is, I'm going to say this now, me and Rob are in the works of doing something very special, and I can't wait for it to air live. We're going to do a Boston dictionary.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
So like Wicked, Piss Up, Dunks, all that stuff. People are like, what the hell are you talking about? We're going to do a live version of that. November 19th, we're doing a live match memories where we're going to talk about Hell in the Cell. DK and Rob's going to be at DK. Wild Boy's going to be part of it. And Rob's going to host it. The person who's going to be on is going to be me, which is very nerve wracking because it's the other way around. The table's turned around on me. Mm-hmm. And then we got a huge round table next week. You never know. Steven might pop in like Sean did. We got Jeremy Lambert's going to be on it with DK, and we'll see what else happens. Get people popping in and out. A lot of people have been telling me they like that format right now because it's a little different. What is your take on a roundtable discussion for wrestling? Have you ever seen it on Twitch or anything like that other than me when I did it?
Yeah, not really to the same way. Like I remember like WWE 24/7, like that on-demand channel they used to had like a literal roundtable where it was like a Legends kind of roundtable. But I haven't seen anything for wrestling like what you're doing. So I think like on YouTube with fans. So I think that's a really good idea. And I think you should keep doing it because that's really not with just wrestling, but with anything in life. Like I think just open discussion is really important, and not censoring people is really important. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to have a group of people on and to have honest discussion and knowing that everyone has the right, everyone's heart's right. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like if you disagree with someone, it doesn't mean they're not your friend. It's just open discussion. And I think that's good that you're doing that.
Yeah, Rob saying you look smarter than I look. But the other thing we did last week was the brainchild of Rob, Anakin JMT, and Wild Boy about food and wrestling. That went really well. Anakin has approached me saying we should do a Thanksgiving week version of that. So we are. And Ron Patel and Tim Traver were the first time ever on camera on those shows. So that was really fun. There's more coming down the pike. I'm going to announce now we're going to do a ladies' night roundtable for December. I've already got one confirmation. I got to ask 2 other people, and maybe Steven can help me with a 4th. If she's watching.
I'll find a 4th. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to her. I got you.
And other than that, so much to check out Fightful's stuff. Steven pops it on the Wednesday Night Wars sometimes if they need it. So say hi if he's in there. Everything else going in the world, we need some positive. Just check out the podcast. Rob Wilkins is going to be recording with me for the Saturday show. Just trying to keep busy, try to not focus on this pain that I'm going through. But everybody,
is weed legal there or no? Is weed legal where you are or no? Weed.
And I can't do it.
Oh, really? Oh man, I'm gonna say that would probably help a ton with the pain. But
yeah, no, epilepsy medication does not mix well with that.
Oh, understood. Sorry, I didn't mean to. But that's where my mind goes first when something like that. It's like, oh, you're in a lot of pain. Is weed legal where you're at? Because if I got something that might be able to help you out a little bit. But.
Nah, I wish. I did it for a while when I was in college for about a month straight, and I was like, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm going to try it, and then all of a sudden, I had these delusions in my head where he's driving and he had two girls he picked up in the back seat, and I was literally just out of it. I couldn't handle it, so I was just like, never again. I'm not mixing both of them.
Understood.
But guys, do a good deed, pay it forward. We'll be on tomorrow. Me and Rob, we're gonna do that Boston dictionary tomorrow, and then we'll have him record for the weekend. Like I said, Jeremy and Wild Boy will be on here next Tuesday for November's roundtable. We're going to do 2 roundtables in November, which is going to be really nice. The week of my mom's one's going to have a roundtable too. And Survivor Series is pretty much what I mean about the roundtable for that. Because isn't Survivor Series the 27th, I think?
I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, that sounds right. Or something.
Yeah. So we'll do the roundtable with the original roundtable get people with Hannikin, Rob, and Wild Boy, and just have fun with it. But
22nd, I think, the 22nd.
Then we're gonna have to do it that week. But do a good deed, guys. Pay it forward. Thank you, Steve, for coming. I appreciate it. Stay tuned for what's next. Just have fun and let's keep killing it. Bye, guys.